It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction video 179. Day in the neighborhood, my brothers and sisters. As always, man, glad y'all came back to the channel and fucking with the bean. Hope y'all doing excelente out there. Let me tell y'all something real quick that happened yesterday, y'all. When I was uploading my latest video, reaction video to Mr. Ballin'. Man, y'all need to go check that video out too. That shit was crazy. But no, man. Goddamn, I go to my channel, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, to upload the video. And YouTube can send me a message that I got a copyright strike. Dun, dun, dun. I'm like, what the fuck? Why I get a copyright strike, bro? Like, where did this come from? So I look it up, and it came from a channel that we be reacting to. And that channel is Beyond Evil. They had like 3 videos, y'all, where they copyrighted the shit. Like, they basically don't want me reacting to their videos. That's just how I take it. And I ain't just saying me, it's people in general, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure it just ain't me personally. But I guess Beyond Evil don't want you sharing their content on your channel. But I look at the shit like some of y'all who watch my videos, y'all would have never heard of Beyond Evil if it wasn't for me. Now, I ain't trying to take credit or make it sound like, oh, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be who you was. No, that ain't what I'm saying, because I ain't just talking about me personally. I'm talking about all these channels who do reaction videos, man. Like, if somebody were to do a reaction video to one of my videos, I would be proud, I would be happy, because that just means that they spread my shit out. Like, my name going out there further, the more people who put my content on their channel. Y'all get what I'm saying, man? But long story short, short story long, I will not be doing any more Beyond Evil videos. We will not be watching any more on this channel, because some of y'all may not know that if you get 3 strikes on YouTube, they could potentially take your channel down. And I damn sure don't want that to happen. So no more Beyond Evil. No more Beyond Evil. And I just hope other channels like Anna Sauls or Mike from That Chapter or Mr. Ballin', I hope they don't start doing that copyright shit, man, because I hate to start watching Mr. Ballin' with y'all, man. That would be fucked up, bro. So, like I said, man, I just hope that was just a one-off incident and we continue to do what we do over here on Stack the Bean. I digress. We gonna get into today's video, man, and we going back to a channel that it's been probably about 2 weeks since we last seen a video from this man. But it's time to go back to him. And that man is Adrian from Coffee House Crime. Going back to Adrian, y'all, and the title of the video is The Man Who Murdered His Entire Family, the Case of the Jones Family. Now, the first thing I'm wondering is, was he like a husband who murdered his kids and his wife? Or was he like a son who murdered his sisters and brothers and his mama and daddy? You know what I'm saying? Like, or did he do all of it? Did he murder his mama, daddy, sister, brother, wife, kids? Like, it's an entire family, so I'm just trying to figure out how far that extends to. But we finna see though. But before we see, my people, come on, y'all know what y'all gotta do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need. We back to Coffee House Crime story time, baby. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's fucking go.
When mother of 4 Casey Jones disappeared from her home in Florida, friends and family had no idea what to make of it. But when all 4 children disappeared in the weeks and months after, it became obvious that something truly terrible had happened. Now, we all have different standards when it comes to describing pure evil, but I am sure that many of you would agree that the man behind all of this comes very close. Welcome back to Coffee House Crime, folks. I'm your host Adrian, and today we're looking at the case of the Jones family. Now this story is seriously dark and explores a few very haunting thoughts, and so with that said, viewer discretion is advised. But before we begin, and just to let you know that I post true crime and strange cases here weekly, so if that is your sort of thing, please consider subscribing to CoffeehouseCrime. And now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee, pull up a seat, and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of the Jones family.
Get whatever you may need. And starting it off, y'all, I guess he didn't answer that question. This man done killed his little babies and his wife. I'm talking about little babies, bro. It don't matter if they was grown or, you know what I'm saying, but damn, bro, little defenseless babies? Your babies? This gonna be a crazy one. Let's go.
Summerfield, Florida. Known as an unincorporated community in Marion County, Summerfield provides the opportunity to live harmoniously alongside rivers, lakes, and other pristine natural landscapes. Found 60 miles northwest of Orlando, it's located close to the center of Florida's peninsula. You will find Jacksonville to the north, Tampa to the south, and a large expanse of beautiful coastline to the east. Now, there isn't much to say about this place, and in fact, there is so little online to read about that I found myself struggling for information. TripAdvisor claims that the Dragonflower Winery is the #1 thing to do in Summerfield, but everything else just seems to be golf courses and a farm. So yeah, with a population of around 27,000 residents, the town has remained small throughout the decades, with attention instead being given to its nearby coastal cities. However, it does have one substantial redeeming feature, and that is that the rent is cheap. And in addition to its highly rated schools, it also has one of the state's lowest crime rates, which is probably why the entire town was so shocked to hear about this case. And in the year 2019, right next to Highway 27, we find the Jones family, consisting of Father Wayne, Mother Casey, and their 4 children, Cameron, Preston, Macaulay, and Ayana, all of which who ranged in age between 1 to 10 years old. Now, this family of 6 came from various backgrounds. The older children, Cameron and Preston, were born from one of Casey's previous relationships, with Macaulay and Ayana being Michael's only biological children. For clarity, Michael did in fact have other children from a previous relationship, but fortunately they do not apply to this story. Beginning with Michael, he was born on May 1st, 1981 and grew up in Vermont. And although I wish I could say that these formative years were good for him, they unfortunately weren't. As sadly, he was a victim to the abuse of his father and experienced an impoverished childhood. Teachers unaware of this situation described the young boy as lost and confused, and in hindsight it's obvious to see why he appeared that way. And although his father would eventually be locked up in prison, his mother fell into a new relationship with another man, who unfortunately then repeated his father's same offences. Now, Michael finally experienced a period of normality in his late teenage years when he joined the US Navy as a medic. It's during this time that he met his first wife, Sarah. And just like that, Michael was now a family man as the couple welcomed 3 children into the world. This new sense of structure, responsibility, and teamwork helped push him in the right direction. And after a few years of service, his wife helped him secure a job at the local veterinary clinic. It turns out that Michael loved it here and was said to run the place. But the change in job would also lead him to a new woman too, and her name was Casey. Now, Casey had a very different childhood when compared to Michael. She was born on December 23rd, 1986 to her mother Nikki and father David, and between these difference in dates, she was 5 years Michael's senior. Growing up in Goshen, Indiana, she attended Mary Beck Elementary School, and after graduating from Elkhart Memorial High School, she moved to Florida in 2009. Initially a dog groomer, she eventually progressed to be a vet technician, which is also known as a vet nurse here in the UK. Friends described Casey as an amazing, kind and caring woman who wouldn't hesitate to give you the shirt off her back, and in addition to this, she had a sweet smile and a beautiful laugh. It was during her time working at the same vet clinic as Michael that, no surprise, they first crossed paths, and this chance encounter would massively change both of their directions in life. From here, a colleague kinship developed into a friendship, and soon after that, the two began to experience romantic feelings. And so, they began an affair, this leading to both of them leaving their former partners for each other, and soon after this, the two began a family of their own. Now, although
I don't know, y'all. It's just me personally speaking, but people who do that, man, I feel like y'all relationship doomed, bro. Like, you left your your wife or your husband to be with somebody else, like both of y'all did this shit, even just one person leaving a partner to go be with somebody else is fucked up, even if the other person was single from the jump. But I just feel like shit like this is just destined to fail, man. Y'all both cheating on y'all current spouses and then end up being spouses with the people with the person you cheating with. I don't think that gonna ever pretty much end well most of the time. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like that shit just, I feel like you going down the wrong road. But let's go.
Though Michael would become the stepfather to both Cameron and Preston, his former children would stay with his ex-wife, Sarah. But in December 2016, and again in August 2018, Michael and Casey welcomed their own children, Macaulay and Ayana, into the world. After marrying on Halloween of 2017, Michael and Casey's family moved into a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom trailer found on Southeast 86th Terrace in Summerfield, Florida. And although the family of 6 didn't have much room to physically expand into, the rent was modest and they were happy in each other's company. It is worth noting here that Michael's history wasn't squeaky clean. In the year of 2015, he was arrested for burglary after stealing money, computer equipment and a firearm from his job. Now this was actually the vet clinic that he worked in with both Sarah and Casey, and unfortunately Casey forgave him enough to help him in this situation, and she even assisted him as she looked after their family as he fled to New Mexico to avoid arrest. Casey was a very proud mother to her children and loved relishing in their development. Thinking ahead and wanting a way to remember these happy memories forever, she created a YouTube channel to upload special milestones along the way. Many of these videos include Michael playing with his daughters, playing and fooling around with his wife, and the family happily spending their weekends together. And looking into their day-to-day lives through this lens seemed to portray a perfectly content family. Michael appeared to be calm and generally happy with his life, and although Casey was behind the camera the majority of the time, she was often heard laughing and giggling. So, looking through these videos, my only real conclusion is that their lives were relatively carefree and happy in each other's company. But the fact of the matter is, this couldn't be any further from the truth. And tragically, soon after her last recorded video, this ideal and happy fantasy would be shattered forever. And behind the door of 14680 Southeast 86th Terrace, one of the worst imaginable nightmares was about to play out.
Oh shit.
It was on the 10th of July 2019 when suspicions started to arise. Friends and family of Casey noted that all of a sudden she stopped taking calls or arranging plans with them. And when she did message them on Facebook or anywhere else, something seemed very out of character. The way she typed out messages and the mannerisms of these messages were not like her usual self. And one of those who stopped hearing from her was Richard Bowers, which by the way was Casey's previous husband and the father to Preston and Cameron. When he arrived at the property on July 27th to take his sons home for a couple of weeks, there was no sign of her either. And after asking where she was, Michael replied to Richard to say that she was out of town. Since Richard and Casey had previously argued, he figured she didn't want to see him, and thinking nothing more of it, he returned home with his kids. It was on August the 1st that Casey's mother, Nikki, received a text message from Casey's number. The message asked if she could watch Macaulay and Ayana for a couple of weeks. Now, Nikki agreed to her daughter's request, but never actually saw her when the kids were dropped off at her residence. Michael was the only one present at the time, which Nikki thought was slightly odd, as she hadn't actually seen or spoken to Casey in person or even receive a voice call for over 3 weeks. So anyway, while both sets of kids were gone, Michael was not actually alone in the house. And during this time frame, he looked after his first set of children from his former partner Sarah. But by August the 11th, Sarah's children had returned home, and Cameron and Preston were back in the custody of Michael and supposedly Casey. By now, it had been weeks since anyone had actually physically seen or spoken to Casey.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I don't know if y'all can really see all of the text right here to the left, because I'm probably blocking some of it, but it basically say days Casey missing. It's 32 days at this point. It was 22 days. It was 17 days when the father from her previous marriage came to pick up her kids, and he was like, "Where she at?" It was 22 days when dude went to go drop the kids off at her mama house. Like, at least her mama should have been like, "Where's my daughter?" Like, she only texts me. I didn't hear her voice. I didn't see her. You dropping them off. Where is my daughter? I would have been a little suspicious, man. There's a lot of days for her to be missing, for them not to be as suspicious as they should be. Let's go.
And all day-to-day arrangements were handled by Michael. But the very unsettling and concerning situation worsened after this, and moving forward, no one would hear from or see Preston or Cameron either. It was
Damn.
around this time that Michael posted an advertisement on Facebook Marketplace to sell 2 twin mattresses, which eventually were sold to a couple living in the nearby Summerfield area. On August the 17th, the couple went by to the Jones residence to pick up these 2 mattresses. But it was a very unusual encounter. For one, the mattresses smelled like death, and Michael was behaving very erratically. And despite Richard wishing his son a happy birthday on August the 22nd, he never actually received a response from anyone. And that's when the alarm bells started to ring. And only a few days later, on August the 28th, both Macaulay and Diana were next to fall silent to the world.
This is crazy.
To add to the strange circumstances, several other things were happening during this time frame. To begin with, the Jones family were served with an eviction notice, meaning they were expected to move out within the next 2 weeks. And then, as many in and around the Florida area will remember, Hurricane Dorian struck. Dorian was an extremely powerful Category 5 hurricane, and at the time, was the strongest to hit the northwestern Bahamas on record. Back in Florida, a state of emergency was declared for the entire state. Many sought shelter, either nearby in public emergency shelters, or by traveling away from the incoming disaster. One of those fleeing the area, although strangely by himself, was Michael, who travelled north to stay with his ex-wife and their children. Despite staying there for the full 10 days, and despite the ongoing disaster down in Florida, Sarah never actually saw Michael call his wife or kids. And all
Do this shit make sense to y'all? Like, would y'all do this? Like, this man is set up here. Ain't even about him. I was gonna say, this man is set up here and murdered his wife and his kids, and now you going back to stay with your ex-wife? But I'm saying, if you the ex, would you let this motherfucker back in your house? And when you be suspicious, like, where's your family? You know what I'm saying, at some point. But even that, y'all, the crazy part of me, bro, that she let him back in her house. That's crazy to me. I don't understand that shit, bro. This man cheated on you with the lady he currently married to. And you still let him back while he's still married to her. Like, that's, I don't know. Let's go.
Although this didn't sit well with her, she knew that Michael and Casey were having issues, so she never bothered to ask. It was just after Hurricane Dorian passed, and while the Jones family was still away from the property, that neighbours reported a very foul smell coming from within the home. The landlord was eventually alerted to this, and since the Jones family were technically supposed to be out by now, he decided to look through the windows and into the property. Although the home was still full of furniture and personal belongings, there was no doubt that the smell was absolutely horrendous, and could only be described as something dead. Now
there's no way that this man sat up here and just left the kids in the fucking house, and possibly his wife too. Like, you ain't even try to hide the bodies or nothing. Like, you just ain't give a fuck, did it? You just don't give a fuck. Let's go.
There are many questions as to why the family and friends around Casey and her children took so long to inform the authorities about their disappearance. And although there were concerns for Casey's well-being, the family thought that maybe Michael was evading the law again, and therefore the family were hiding for his safety. But on September the 14th, 2019, which was 66 days after Casey went radio silent, Nikki finally had enough, and the Marion County Sheriff's Office was called to request a welfare check. 66 days had passed since anyone had spoken to Casey, 34 days since Cameron and Preston were last seen, and 17 days since Macaulay and Diana had fallen silent as well. Naturally, officers were very worried to hear this, and so the welfare check was conducted immediately. Arriving at the residence shortly before midnight, deputies learned from local residents that not only had anyone seen the Jones family in over 2 weeks, but an ongoing foul smell was emanating from the property. Police officers immediately recognized the smell. It was reminiscent of a decomposing human or animal, and to add to the ever-growing list of concerning clues, the house was now empty and looked recently cleaned. In addition to this, some of the floors looked brand new, but one of the old floors was stained red.
Alright, and the whole property was cleaned out, correct? And Joe, did you have a cleaning crew come in and clean up, or? Can you hear me, Joe?
What's that?
Did did you have a cleaning crew come in and clean up, or did you just have a guy do it?
So I'm gonna plead the fifth on that.
Okay. No, I'm just talking about who cleaned up, like, not the property. I don't care about the property. Like mopped the floor and stuff.
Yeah, one of my guys mopped the floor. I'm not sure which one.
Okay. So you didn't like hire a crew to come do it, just one of your guys that normally work for you.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I needed to know. Did the guy that you had clean up, did he tell you he put some fans in all the rooms and have like little fans running?
Yeah, because it smelled.
Okay. Do you know what he used to clean up with? Did he tell you?
No.
Were there any, did you say there were some repairs done?
Alright, officer, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna ask you guys to leave.
Okay. Well, we're walking right out the front door right now.
Although officers initially entered the property with the homeowner's permission, they were turned away after asking too many questions. But nevertheless, the clues left behind were enough to concern the authorities gravely, and so every effort was made to contact the Jones family. Unfortunately, investigators came back with nothing but silence despite every effort to locate them. So finally, a missing persons post was created and uploaded to Facebook, highlighting that Casey, Preston, Cameron, Macaulay and Ayana were now missing and considered endangered. And this is where the story's circumstances change very quickly, as later that very same day, police officers in Brandley County, Georgia responded to an alarming scene. 170 miles north of the Summerfield home, Michael Jones had veered off-road and crashed the family vehicle into a concrete sewage tunnel. And although the man managed to get out of the car unharmed, the vehicle was a complete write-off. As soon as police officers arrived, they sensed a very putrid smell, and upon asking Michael what the smell was, he had a very awful confession to make. Michael confirmed that if they were to go looking inside, they would tragically find the decaying body of his wife. Furthermore, he was willing to show them where he'd buried the bodies of his children. Michael was obviously arrested immediately after this, and after telling authorities where to go to find his slain kids, Charlton County received the call to search for them. Located in a woodland just off Highway 301, a large patch of fresh earth was located, and horrifyingly, under the recently disturbed soil lay the bodies of Cameron, Preston, Macaulay, and Ayana. Those around the Jones family were distraught, terrified, and disgusted to hear the news. Although they had...
Yeah, like, see, you know how this shit bring out all type of emotions in me, y'all. The emotion I'm getting from this video is, like, disgusted. Like he just said, this is just disgusting, bro. Especially, I thought he had left them in there, but he had just clearly left them in there long enough where their body would start to smell. And then later on, you want to take their bodies and go bury them and all that, bro. You leaving your family in there to just decompose, bro. Like, they just ain't shit, bro. Like, you just don't give a fuck, bro. Like, you just... this is the disgusting ass dude, man. I mean, all murder is disgusting in a way, but it's just the way he did this shit, and then to come back days later and try to move their bodies and shit. Dude, you are fucked up, bro. You are fucked up.
Already shared a great deal of concern over their whereabouts. Many could not even begin to fathom Michael's gruesome actions. And all of this had to be one of the most horrific outcomes possible. Their deaths severely affected multiple families. Richard Bowers lost both of his sons and his ex-wife to the man she had left him for, and Nikki now faced the awful act of burying her daughter and 4 grandchildren. Moving forward, Michael's actions would permanently affect the mental health of many people around his slaughtered family. And one of those most jolted was his ex-wife, Sarah. It turns out that the children she and Michael shared stayed in his house multiple times after he murdered his wife, and during that time, they were under the full supervision of a murderer. And to add to this, if you remember correctly, Michael had even sheltered with Sarah and the kids for multiple days during Hurricane Dorian. And shockingly, all of this had happened after he murdered his entire family, meaning that Sarah too, for more than a week, had lived with a mass murderer. Now, considering the severity and depravity of his actions, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to consider him killing his other biological children and Sarah too. But luckily, this never crossed his mind, meaning that Sarah and the kids are extremely lucky to be unharmed. But instead, all of them now face the enormous task of processing their father's actions and somehow learning to trust again. Following his arrest, Michael was willingly interviewed by officers, and during his interrogation, he was calm, collected and concise with his actions. There was no attempt to deceive or lie to officers, and Michael even expressed his thankfulness for being caught, because, quote, he couldn't do anything right. Now, according to Michael, the entire event was prompted by a heated argument, during which Casey had accused him of cheating with another woman. But Michael denied.
You see what I'm saying? Now, he might be lying on that. Hey, he probably ain't telling the truth, for real, for real. It probably was the other way around. She probably was accusing him of cheating, and he got mad, and he probably was cheating. Because these motherfuckers got together by cheating on their past spouses. That's what I'm saying, y'all. Like, shit like that, man, you just on the road to fail, bro. Like, you will always know this is my wife or this is my current husband, but we got together by cheating on our past wives and husbands. So guess what? It's a big possibility that this motherfucker, you gonna cheat again. You know what I'm saying? A cheater gonna cheat, bro. Like, what? Hell no, bro. This is crazy, bro. It's fucked up, though. It's fucked up the way. I don't understand why this man did this. And like I said, he probably lying about saying that she cheated. But let's go. He probably just made that up as an excuse to kill them. You know what I'm saying? Just making up an excuse of why he killed them. I want to know the real reason, though. But we probably ain't going to get it. Let's go.
These claims, which led to tension between the two. Casey then allegedly approached him with a baseball bat, and after prodding him with it, Michael lost all sense of self-control. He grabbed the bat off her before striking her multiple times across the head. And tragically, Michael did not stop beating his wife until he was certain that she was dead. He then placed her body in a plastic tote bag and stored it in the closet before cleaning all traces of visible blood. And in the meantime, all 4 children were asleep in the house. Following her death, Michael began to spin a web of lies and deceit to cover his tracks over the next few weeks. He used Casey's phone to send text and Facebook messages to friends and family, so others would think that she was still alive. It was on August the 10th, which was 31 days after he murdered her, that he decided to kill Casey's 2 sons. Without going into explicit details and out of respect, Michael killed Cameron by strangulation. He then waited until the next night before killing Preston, in which he used cable ties to strangle him to death.
Bro, this shit so fucked up. And then I just thought about just looking at that picture. Think about them 2 kids, bro. They waking up one morning, they like, "Where mama at? Where mama at?" And then he tell them some bullshit excuse. "Oh, she gone. She coming back. She gone on a trip. She whatever." You know, you can tell little kids anything to a certain degree. Cause kids way smarter than, you know what I'm saying, we'll think they will be. But you know, telling them that, bro, then days going by, then weeks going by, they still ain't seen or heard from their mama, bro. Imagine how they start feeling, bro, about not seeing their mama, bro. You ain't even a real fucking daddy for real. You a stepdaddy, man. And they ain't heard from her. That was just a fucked up way for them to go, man. This shit here just fucked up, man. This dude here, man. Let's go.
As the weeks turned into months, and especially in Florida's hot and humid weather, Michael faced a new ghastly problem. And as some of you may have already guessed, that was decomposition. He began to use cat litter to help soak up the bodily fluids. Though, as we already know, this didn't stop heads from turning, and the
I had to pause it again, y'all, because I ain't even fucking say the most fucked up and crazy part about him telling them that they mama gone. They mama in the damn closet, y'all. Dead the whole time. Why they still in the fucking house?
The smell began to spread. On August 23rd, with his wife and 2 stepsons already dead, Michael was served an eviction notice, thus adding even more pressure onto him. He could no longer keep the bodies in the house, and if he were even to try and get away with his awful actions, he'd need to change the flooring. 5 days later, on August the 28th, Michael took his 2 daughters to the local police department. He sat with them on a park bench opposite the area, as he tried to build the strength to turn himself in. But sadly, this determination of his dissolved into pure cowardice. And when he got home, that spinelessness reared its ugly head to reveal his true monstrous self. Michael drowned both of his daughters in the bathtub that very same night. 2 days later, and during the hurricane, Michael made his way to Jacksonville to stay with his ex-wife. And unknown to her and everyone else at the time, he made the drive up with all 5 bodies in the trunk of his car. They remained in there for 16 days until Michael buried his children. And then, as we all know, finally he was caught. At the time of their deaths, Casey was 33 years old, Cameron was 10, Preston 5, Macaulay 3, and Ayana only 11 months. Moving into the legal proceedings of this case, Michael's trial began on December the 8th, 2022. And as you can likely imagine, the chances of him coming out as a free man were basically non-existent. Due to the lack of premeditation to her death, Michael would be tried for the second-degree murder of Casey, but moving forward he would face first-degree murder charges for all 4 children. And since he'd already confessed to their murders, the least he would get behind bars was life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. However, there is one very big caveat here, and that is, with this being Florida, the death penalty is still very possible. Post-mortem autopsies and police reports presented in court confirmed some very saddening details. Cameron had suffered a broken mandible or lower jaw during his death, and a plastic zip tie was observed to be around Preston's neck. Macaulay's and Ayana's remains were located inside a small plastic tote. Found inside the bag with them was a baby bottle with Ayana's name on it, as well as a small pair of girls' sandals. Casey's body had been wrapped in a rug and a black and white shower curtain. The front of her skull was damaged in a manner consistent with that of a massive blunt force trauma, very likely from an object rather than an accident. During his trial, the defense argued that jurors should spare Michael's life for a variety of reasons. This included his so-called abusive relationship with Casey, where apparently Casey was the abuser, his traumatic childhood, the mixture of drugs he was on at the time of the murders, and a complex history with his mental health. The defense noted that Michael suffered a very abusive childhood after becoming a victim of child molestation by his father, and eventually his stepfather as well. It was also claimed that Michael had a well-known history of banging his head against the walls and floor, all of which was in a desperate effort to silence the voices in his head. And although this was Michael's angle, and friends and family were able to confirm some of his difficulties, some also testified that, in reality, he was the actual abuser of his wife throughout their marriage. Not that Casey was entirely a saint on all counts either, as her own sister suggested that she too could be aggressive, stubborn, and physically violent. The defense would also claim that Casey often dominated him, and that his recent traumatic experiences and episodes led to a free fall of psychotic chaos. Michael testified that he was subjected to nagging, poking, and prodding, and that all of the stress was starting to detrimentally affect him. He also justified the murder of their children by saying that they could now be with their mother. Dr. Yenis Castillo, a clinical and forensic psychologist, concluded that there is evidence that Michael came from a dysfunctional family, with evidence of sexual, mental, and physical abuse, along with intense violence. But the prosecution was not forgiving in the slightest.
Good.
All 5 murders were spread over 49 days, highlighting that Michael had plenty of time to calm down and rationalize his emotions. Instead, he proceeded with cold calculation. At each interval of time, Michael engaged in a web of lies as he covered his tracks, using his wife's phone to deceive multiple people, lying to his ex-wife, and even asking her for a fake alibi. Being interviewed while his trial was ongoing, Michael's ex-wife Sarah declared, "I wish they'd already hung him up and been done, because I don't think he deserves to walk another day on Earth." In Florida, defendants convicted of first-degree murder can be sentenced to death if the jury unanimously recommends such an outcome. And in Michael's case, on January the 13th, 2023, that is exactly what happened. Now, this decision will ultimately be left to the judge Anthony Tatti, who has not yet scheduled a date for his sentencing. However, given the circumstances, he will very likely follow through with this verdict. This has to be one of the truly darkest crimes I have ever covered here. Michael Jones killed 5 of those closest to him, 4 of whom were innocent children that all depended on him. He killed them over a time frame of 49 days, and on 4 separate occasions. And unlike the murder of his wife, this was not a case of losing self-control in the heat of the moment. The man went back for more violence time and time again. Whether one believes in the death sentence or not, it is evident that Michael's actions place him near the very top of the list of criminals for such a punishment. Murdering his wife is a terrible thing that cannot be forgiven, but to murder 4 innocent children is so unspeakably vile that it's almost suffocating to think about. Through Casey's videos, it's clear to see how sweet all 4 children were, and how a father could do such a thing to his own flesh and blood is honestly beyond reprehensible. I can't even find the word severe enough to describe him. During his trial, Casey's sister said that the death of her sister and children has devastated their family, and the pain has been torture. She eventually had to quit her job, as it involved the triggering sight of children's clothing, and following her unemployment, she was unable to leave her bed for more than 6 months. The pain of knowing that her 4 nephews and nieces will never graduate from school, get married, or have their own children plagues her mind, and at times, it feels almost too much to bear. Nothing can ever be done to fill the voids left behind by Casey and her kids. Now, the gap between these murders technically makes Michael a serial killer, in addition to other well-known titles such as Family Annihilator and Worst Parent of the Year. I honestly can't even begin to fathom his actions, and while I do sympathise for his childhood, which was filled with trauma and violence, it does not explain or justify his actions. I sincerely hope that the families and friends involved in this awful tragedy will find the peace and comfort that they deserve in the years to come. So I'm glad to wrap up this chilling case, folks, but I wanted to thank you so much for being here with me today for another video by Coffee House Crime.
Oh my lord, y'all. It's certain videos, man. We watch these murder, mystery, murder news, true crime videos. You know what I'm saying? That's what we watch over here. These are the type videos we watch pretty much on the daily. But it's something about this one, y'all, that just hit me different. It be those certain videos every now and then that just hit you different, bro. This some sad ass shit, man. Like, this shit, I believe this shit done raised my blood pressure watching this video, man, because my head hurt. And I just feel like I'm so, like, not amped up, but I feel like my damn blood pressure done rolled, man. I got high blood pressure right now, y'all. Not even trying to be funny like that, man. And I'm still young as fuck as far as I'm only 30-something. I shouldn't be feeling like this, but this shit really, like, got me a little headache going on. Like, my pressure just rose, bro. This one hit me different, man. Like, for real, man. This was crazy as a mother. I'm so glad he got the death penalty. If anybody deserved the death penalty, now, you know what I'm saying? Some of y'all probably don't believe in it out here. But at least for this one, y'all, fuck that. This man ass need to die, bro. He need to go. Doing this shit, it's just and this is another thing. Now, this might be an unpopular opinion or whatever, but I ain't trying to say it like that, but I am trying to say it like that, and some of y'all gonna follow me right here. I feel like it would have been better if he just killed all of them at one time. If he just killed them all at one time, I feel like it would have been better. Then goddamn doing this shit over 2 months, bro, and killing the wife. Then 2 weeks later, then you killed the two sons. Then 2 weeks later, you killed the 2 little baby girls. And like, bro, the way he did this shit was just sick as fuck, man. Like, this is ridiculous, bro. This one here, man. And I can honestly say I know this is the best video I've seen from Coffee House Crime, man. And he always video fire now. He always bring that heat now. Don't get me wrong, but this one right here, I know this was the best video I ever seen from him, bro. This is the best video I've seen in a long time, for real, as far as these murder cases go, man. God damn. Even though Mr. Baller be dropping some crazy ass shit with the murder case too. Like that one we just watched yesterday was crazy. But this one hit different than even that Mr. Baller one yesterday, y'all. If y'all ain't seen that video yet, y'all check that one out. It was crazy as fuck. But this, I'm telling you, man, I don't know if it's just the kids involved in it. That got a lot to do with it. But what the most thing that just get me is the fact of how he did this shit over so many days, bro. And then how he goddamn left their bodies in the house, then days later and shit, you goddamn going to bury them. Or the fact that you got these kids, mama in the house dead in a closet, while you telling them mama gone and she'll be back or some bullshit. Like, it's so much shit sick in this damn case, man. You talking about I can talk to y'all ass for an hour. I really could talk for a fucking hour about this one, man. That's just how that one got me, bro. Wow. I'm so glad I watched the video with y'all, man. This is crazy, y'all. I digress. Gonna let y'all get up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all coming back to fuck with the bean, man. Y'all hit that like button for me, comment, subscribe, all that good shit right there, my people. And hey, come back tomorrow for another true crime reaction video. But until then, my friends, got a couple of more things to say. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.